Okay, I think it's going.
Okay. Is the red light on?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Um, this is Jeremy, and I got two guys from my association who are fellow pastors, and we're going to talk about the issue of isolation in ministry. So, can you introduce yourselves
Yeah,
and where you serve, what you do?
yeah. My name is Michael Head. I am pastor of Indian Hills Baptist Church, Silver City, New Mexico, and Hachita Baptist Church down in Hachita, New Mexico.
And I'm Jason Anderson. I'm the associate pastor at First Baptist Church in Silver City, New Mexico.
All right. My first question to y'all is how would you define isolation within a context of ministry? Like, what is isolation for pastors?
I can one way of looking at this for me is I've been a youth pastor for about 12 years now, and in one sense you can see isolation in ministry within a church itself. The youth ministry is isolated from the adult ministry and everything else. So I've experienced that where I'm doing my thing and it doesn't really matter what anyone else is doing because the youth group is going. So that can be one sense of isolation in ministry, just within a church context. There's also isolation. We're in a large rural association, so we've got lots of land, lots of space between our churches. Michael might want to talk on that or not.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. It's not like some contexts where there is a church on every corner, or 5 or 6 churches in a city. We are spread out over 3.5 very large counties, and to have connections with other ministers is difficult. I think I would identify isolation in ministry is the fact that vocational ministry is a very unique job, and if you're not doing it, the odds are you have no idea what it's like, the life. And so there is an isolation in the sense that the people you are ministering to and the people you are in contact with regularly have no frame of reference for the life that you're living or how that impacts you emotionally or spiritually or mentally. They can't relate to it because it is not like other vocations. And if you're not doing it, the odds are you don't have a clue. So that's how I'd identify isolation. There is that sense of loneliness that no one can relate to what you're doing, even the people closest to you in the church.
And we're in a rural association of Southern Baptist churches. There's 18 congregations and about, I tell people maybe 10,000 square miles. I'm not sure exactly, but am I close on that? I mean, we're 18 churches in a big area.
It's large,
And
yes.
I live about 30, 40 minutes away from you guys. So,
Yes.
And then we have churches that's like a 2-hour drive from us,
Yes.
3-hour drive from us.
Yes.
So. My second question is, why is isolation a problem for pastors?
I think it depends on the pastor. I think it depends on the makeup of the pastor. Some people's personality types, they are perfectly comfortable with being that Lone Ranger in a sense, of being out there. But I think others, of course it depends on how things are going in ministry too. If everything's going rosy, which I don't know where that happens, but if everything's going wonderful, the pressure is just a little bit less. But when things are stressful, and this, again, it's the nature of vocational ministry that you are often counseling or helping people in situations where you can't share that with other people, the situations that you've been in, or help them understand that. And I think that can become dangerous for a pastor as far as emotionally, where despair or depression or bitterness or let's face it, you're doing marriage counseling. You get a call and you find yourself in a room and they're passing a dead infant around because they're waiting for the funeral home director to come, and they ask you if you want to hold the infant and you can't say no, and you're sitting here holding a dead infant in your hand while you've got your own infant at home, and it's hard not to have some emotional reaction to that, but you can't share that really, because you can't make it about you. It's not about you. It's about these people who have lost their baby. Or 1,000 other situations like that where you are taking on a lot of emotional difficulty from others and trying to help them, but you're at the same time taking that in on yourself. With no, if you're in an isolated situation, it's difficult to find an outlet to share that with other people. I tried sharing it recently with I was trying to give the head of our personnel committee an idea of what this life is like, just to give him a few examples, and he kind of looked at me and said, maybe you should see a counselor. Well, that's not the point. This is what comes with the life. It's not that there's anything unique about me going through this. This is what it means to be a minister. Taking on all of this other difficulty and struggle from other people, trying to walk with them through it and help them through it. And if you have no one else that understands what that life is like, that can be difficult at times. Mm-hmm. And I think it becomes a threat to your own well-being if you don't have means of finding relief or help.
Yeah. There's also you run the risk of becoming theologically isolated. You don't have someone bouncing ideas off of, sharing sermon ideas and how your congregation is going, or so you might get stuck in a rut, and the world might be facing different things around you. But if you're isolated, if you're not having good conversations with other guys who are in the ministry, then you might be missing some things, missing either trends or danger things coming up. So that's a risk as well.
For sure.
Well, what are some of the things that we do as an association for as pastors to help with that?
Well, we meet, our pastors are invited, all of them from across the association, once a month, the first Tuesday of every month, to have just a fellowship breakfast together. Because of the distance, it is hard for some to get there, but we've started kind of rotating that, going to different areas so that we can reach as many as possible. So just fellowship once a month is one thing we're doing.
I would add to that, not just the formal gatherings within the association, but like what we do. We're all within this local, and so we try to get together kind of informally as well, or hang out socially and things like that with other ministers. And one of the first things I did when I came to town 10 years ago was I came to this building and wanted to meet with the pastor, just wanted to immediately make contact with other Southern Baptist ministers in the area. And so in addition to the more formal gatherings that our director of missions is helping to coordinate, just informal friendships with other Southern Baptist ministers within the association. And I would expand that too, that some of my favorite times, and the reason I keep doing it, I'm on the state executive board for our convention. And one of the reasons I took on a second term is I really delight in going up to Albuquerque once a quarter and being around other ministers and other people, church leaders and stuff. It's not that I have to say anything or anything. I just like being around them and listening to them talk, and I just feel that camaraderie and fellowship. Same reason I love going to state convention. I don't like committee meetings. I don't like business meetings in my church or in the convention. But I like being around the people that I know that they're walking the same path. And that's really valuable. So not just associationally, but outside of that as well. Just part of Southern Baptist life of having these voluntary connections with greater groups is helpful.
And I think our Thursday morning
Yes.
Bible study where we're going through the institutes,
Yes.
even though there's 4 to 5 of us,
Sure.
That's something that helps me a lot too.
Sure. It's really a big component of that is fellowship, you know. And I think it's just important for us to hang out, you know, for sure.
Well, in closing, do you have any advice for someone that says, I'm lonely and I'm isolated? They can be in a big city or a rural area. What's one piece of advice should you give them to help them?
Well, let me just say, some advice my pastor gave me, the pastor that mentored me. He said, and he may have taken it too far. He said, you're never going to have extremely close friendships with people in your congregation because God has not graced them with an understanding of how your life is, or graced them with the ability to handle your life. And while I disagree with some degree that you won't have close friendships, I don't get to share with them the way I would with one of you guys about the struggles of ministry, because I don't want them to get bitter, and that's a danger for me, and it'd be even more danger for them that aren't living that life that they can't relate to. When I first came to Indian Hills, I had someone come up to me and says, "Hey, what you know, I've been close friends with every one of our pastors, and I'm there for you if you ever need to talk." Well, personally, that set off red flags in my life, because there are always people that are trying to get information out of me about situations in other people's lives that they know I know about. And I'm just automatically, I shut that down. I cannot share things about people's lives that I know. Along with that is, you need to have a really good relationship with your spouse. Because there are plenty of times I'm ready to cash it all in and run out of town. And sometimes I just got to vent to my wife for 5 minutes, and I'm good. I'm good now. It's okay. Life will go on. And the same thing's true with her, but at the same time, I can't lead her into bitterness. And so it's that fine balancing act of sharing with my wife, but not sharing so much that when she looks at this church member, all she sees is the negativity, the sin they're struggling with, the whatever. I've got to be able to share that burden with her without leading her into bitterness, and that takes wisdom. And so ultimately, this is when we talk about isolation, we're missing a component there. We are never isolated, in the sense that we always have the presence of the Holy Spirit in us. We all have access to our Father through Christ in prayer, and we need to be a prayerful people in ministry, continually leaning on the presence of God and the wisdom of God in our lives for our well-being. That's the spiritual aspect. Let me add that there is another aspect as well, and I do this in any kind of counseling because I found it true in my life, that I was at rock bottom when I was at 37 years old, because I was letting the stress just destroy me. And I totally changed my life and started exercising and being careful about what I ate, and watching how things I ate affected my moods and things like that. And I found that renovation of the physical aspect of my life really made ministry a lot easier for me personally. Getting rid of stress, making sure I wasn't taking food into myself that was hurting me and making it harder on me and things like that. And that was huge. And so now I counsel people about that. If they're struggling with issues in their life, I say, well, what are you doing to exercise or do this? It's not that we negate the spiritual side, but God made us physical as well. And so I think isolation and our struggles with it, they rely on God, but also, are there practical physical things you can do to make this emotionally easier for yourself? So yes, we fellowship with each other, but there is a spiritual aspect and a physical aspect that we just cannot ignore on our well-being as people there.
Yeah. I would just say, just make a little effort. If you don't have someone right now who you can talk with, look around. Go to another church. It doesn't even have to be a Southern Baptist church. Just a church that's at least somewhat like-minded, and see if there's a staff person there who might enjoy biking or music or something that you like. Find someone who has common interests that you can at least talk about, and then start there. And if you don't find anybody at the first church, go to the next one. Eventually, you can find someone, and it's important. I agree that you need to have a close relationship with your spouse, but sometimes we need other guys in our lives that we can share things, talk about with them that we can't maybe talk about with our wives. Not that we hide stuff, but there's just guy issues and pastor issues that we need someone to share with sometimes. So just make a little effort.
Yeah. Let me just another warning. When you are talking to your spouse, be careful of the children. If you've got children, you're trying to raise these kids to love the church and love the faith. And being on the inside of ministry, that they see a side that most children don't get to see in the church even. You gotta be careful about that. The bitterness thing is real, and you could raise some kids, and I've seen pastors do this. They have raised children that despise the church because of how the church treated their father or their mother, and the difficulties they had. And so just be mindful of that as well. That they need to hear you're a pastor to them too, and they need to get that positive side. So just we need to be cautious about the little ears that are hearing, in addition to the hearts of our wives. Okay.
Well, thank you. Yeah, us three have things in common, of common theology, and Jason and I are fans of the best baseball team in the world, the Cubs. So and they've helped me greatly because I moved from China, originally from Oklahoma, to New Mexico, and things totally different here. I'm like, why do these people in this church think this way?
Yeah.
Is there something?
Sure.
Then they say, oh, it's New Mexico. It's just the way that people think here. And
Yeah.
so they're like, oh, okay. So,
Right. Yeah.
so thank you for helping me with these guys, and thank you for everything.
You're welcome.
Sir.